Welcome back to another episode of FTS. Me and the boys are going to hop right into the mega moments of the week because there were honestly a lot. I feel like there was a good week in sports. I'm going to go ahead and start us off with my favorite mega moment of the week. Quinn Ewers absolutely balled in the Big 12 championship, set the Big 12 championship game record for passing yards in the game, and he set the record in the third quarter. Finished the game with a little over 450 yards, 4 TDs. He did have one pick, but Texas won that game by almost 4 scores, I think.
I think it was
exactly
four
scores.
It was
Exactly 4 scores. Texas came out and they dominated, and they not only did Quinn Ewers secure Texas the Big 12 title, but he also secured them their first berth in the college football playoff ever in the last year of the 4 teams. So big ups to Quinn Ewers, who was one of my dark horse Heisman candidates at the beginning of the season. I mean, I know I didn't put him back in that conversation, but he has quietly been very good this year, even with dealing with some injuries, and has willed that Texas team to the college football playoff and really set him up for some success in the college football playoff too, being number 3 and having that matchup with Washington. So Quinn Ewers and the Big 12 championship single game passing record is my mega moment of the week.
I usually do college football with my mega moment, but I'm going to the NFL this week. I'm taking Jake Browning. Coming in, my king Joe Burrow is done for the season, so Jake Browning has to come in, goes on the road to one of the top seeds in the AFC in primetime, throws for 350 yards and 3 TDs, and gets the win. His first win as a quarterback in 5 years.
His first ever NFL win as a starting quarterback. Ever.
And
T-Law did get hurt in that game, though. So.
And there was a horrible hold. It was a hold, but it was a stupid hold by that right tackle.
Hopefully,
going into Jacksonville and getting the dub against an 8-3 Jaguars team who's been playing really well as of late. Only 5 incompletions on the night. I mean, there's no other mega moment of the week other than that one, and that's mine.
Hopefully Trevor Lawrence is all right. Well, my mega moment is one that I'd prefer not to talk about, but it has to be done. Alabama knocking off number 1 Georgia in the SEC championship, snapping the 29-game win streak, and showing everyone that no matter what we say, no matter what we do,
they're still here.
Saban always arrives. In 2007, 2009, it was Florida's the new Bama. No, that didn't happen. In 2010, it was Auburn's finally going to continue to roll. Nope, that didn't happen.
Nobody thought that.
Yeah, they did. When Cam was there, and then they went to the national championship in 2013.
Yeah, but Cam took one of the worst teams we've ever seen to a natty. I don't remember people saying that Auburn was there to stay, but continue. I'm sorry.
Then we thought it was Georgia in 2017. We thought we had a chance. Then we thought it was LSU in 2019. And we're like, oh, is this finally the time that Saban falls and Alabama comes back into reality? Nope. No.
I mean,
they still own us.
The closest anybody has been was Georgia for the last 2 years.
It's us, but it's
just tough,
it's
man.
Inevitable.
I mean, you look at Saban, and he is the greatest coach to ever walk the grass or turf on a college football sideline. In Georgia's last 43 games, they are 1-2 against Alabama. They are 40-0 against all of their opponents, including Clemson, Oregon, Ohio State, TCU, Michigan, and the list goes on.
Notre Dame.
I don't think
Notre Dame. Yeah, we played them in 21.
No.
Was it 20?
19.
Is it that long ago?
17 and 19. 17 in South Bend, 19 in
Jesus. Anyways.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I wasn't going to use it. I knew it should be one, but that's why I went Quinn Ewers. I was wondering if you were going to come with it.
If he didn't, that was where I was going.
That was where you were going to go. I knew somebody was going to say it, and it's honestly deserved. I mean, that's one of the, I don't want to say lesser talented teams that Saban has had in recent years.
After that Texas loss, people were talking about this is going to be Saban's worst year.
Yeah, people
thought Alabama
might be a 3-loss team this year.
They almost were.
almost, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And unfortunately, almost didn't get the trick done for us either. Anyways, it was a valid mega moment. It had to be said. Joseph, what do we got?
All right, well, since my mega moment of Mr. Saban was taken, I'm going to pivot to the emerging quarterback in the NFC who might go on a playoff run this season. I'm taking Jordan Love. The man's been balling out the past 3 weeks, I think.
3 or 4,
everybody was doubting him at the beginning of the season.
I dropped him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, damn, that
Picked
sucks.
him up.
He threw for 267 yards and 3 touchdowns against a pretty solid Chiefs defense. He outdueled Mahomes, even though every pass he threw, Collinsworth was like, "That's something Mahomes might do right there." Did you see that?
Nuh-uh.
Dude, his
I didn't
fucking
watch the
touchdown, his
game.
touchdown
Yeah.
throw. He had a nice
He's
touchdown
got to
throw.
know at this point.
He's like,
what he's
that
doing.
looks like a throw Mahomes would make right there.
I feel like he's playing into the meme at this point.
He's got to be.
He's got to.
But Jordan Love looks like a legit franchise quarterback now, and I think he's going to lead the Packers to a divisional title this year after everybody doubted him.
What, a divisional title?
You think they're going to
You
win
think
the
they're gonna
North?
beat the-
Oh shit! I forgot the Lions. Never mind. I was
That'd be a
thinking
crazy
Vikings.
comeback.
I was
Yeah.
thinking Vikings. They're going to be a wild card spot. They're knocking the Vikings out of that wild card spot.
Probably will.
And I think if you go head to head, Packers Lions in the playoffs, I'm taking the Packers.
Okay. All
Why
right.
would you do that if they play come playoff time and pick them?
I'll double down.
Double down. Okay. All right. I hope that game comes up because we're definitely picking it. All right. Next, with the good, there is always the bad. And I feel like this week embodied that more than most in sports. So now we are going to move to our mid moment of the week. I want to start because I have two. So I'm hoping my second one was going to be NFL officiating as a whole this year. I hope somebody else talks about it after how bad it was this weekend. It was really bad, and it really determined the outcome of some games. But I'm going to go to what I feel like is the only right place to go. And my mid-moment of the week is the College Football Playoff Committee and the NCAA. Look, by the eye test, we can all sit up here and agree that if you look at Florida State without Jordan Travis, do we think they are a top 4 competitive team in college football? No.
Are they even top 15?
So
I don't.
I looked at a ranking the other day that had them at like 17.
Here's my issue, and this is the one. This is the one thing that really got me this year. Next year, we start with automatic bids. It'll be the Power 4 now. So every Power 4 conference will get an automatic bid. The conference winner will get an automatic bid. This year was not the case. They're supposed to look at strength of schedule, record, conference championship. Those are the things that were supposed to be used to determine the best 4 teams this year. And it wasn't. The SEC got an automatic bid this year, even though it just didn't make any sense. You look at the committee decided to place a 1-loss Alabama team, conference champion, yes, but a 1-loss Alabama team who lost to another conference champion earlier in the season in Texas, above an undefeated ACC conference champion in Florida State. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can go with this, but what really bothered me is that the NCAA and the College Football Playoffs Committee's reasoning for not placing Florida State in the playoff was that without Jordan Travis, they do not see them as the same competitive football team, which is valid. But if you do not see them as a top 4 team, even at 13-0, still beating a good Louisville team with their 3rd-string quarterback, Tate Rodemaker was going to be back for any of the bowl games. It was just a concussion. How are they still 5th? It doesn't make any sense. If you don't think they can compete with Michigan, Washington, Texas, or Bama without their quarterback, what gives them the right to be ranked over Georgia, Oregon, or Ohio State, all who still have their starting quarterbacks? So by that logic, Florida State should have dropped all the way to 9th. Then if by the same logic you're looking at it and you go, whoa, it was the eye test, we're supposed to pick the best 4 teams. How does Georgia not still have a case for being, if you're going by eye test now, how do they not have a case at being one of the top 4 teams in college football? Because if you look at it, my top 4 teams would be Michigan, Texas, Bama, Georgia by the eye test. And you're saying the best 4. Georgia lost 1 game in their last 30. And now all of a sudden you're telling me that that they're not a top 4 team. And the only reason Bama got in is because Texas was at 7, Bama was at 8 before the game. Texas handles business. Bama wins their conference championship. Both are 1 loss. You look at it and you go, well, we can't put Bama in and not put Texas. We're not going to put Georgia in, even though they were number 1, right? So the only SEC team we're left with is Bama, and you put them in, you got to take Texas. Well, if you take Texas, you got to move somebody out, and who's the easiest to move out? It's Florida State. So my mid moment is the NCAA and the College Football Playoff Committee continuing time and time again to prove that they are all about money and appeasing whoever they feel like appeasing. And this year it was Bama and the SEC. So that's my mid-moment, is the NCAA and the College Football Committee continuing to prove that they are corrupt and that they do not have the best interest of their players in mind. It's just honestly absolutely egregious and just I don't even have any words for it. So that's my mid-moment of the week.
It's funny that you said you had 2, because my mid-moment of the week is the refs in the last 60.
I'm so glad somebody said
in the last 60 seconds of Sunday Night Football. That's my mid-moment. Starting off with the terrible unnecessary roughness call on Patrick Mahomes. That was not unnecessary roughness. I don't even think it was a late hit out of bounds. He hit him with the shoulder.
Still had a foot in bounds.
And he didn't launch. He didn't lead with anything. He just ran into him with his shoulder, 15 yards. That's fine. And then the pass interference no call, which was obvious. It might have been the worst pass interference, some of the worst PI I've seen all season not called.
I feel like that one was like a get back though. Like
Yeah, it was like they making up for that one.
Yeah,
call.
But you can't.
And then
You can't do that.
One's like a 40-yard penalty. The other's 15.
And then
You can't do that.
the clock stopping on that completion, I believe it was to MVS. He did not get out of bounds. He stayed in bounds. The clock stopped for some reason. And then it was a Hail Mary at the end, but there was a lot of contact,
Especially on Travis Kelce.
no call on the Hail Mary. It's just like,
There's no consistency.
are you going to favor the Chiefs? Are you going to try and get them back and let something go by just because you made one bad call? What are we doing?
There's just no consistency in officiating this year.
It was the worst, stretch of bad calls / no calls in a game all season. And those four mistakes all happened within 60 to 65 seconds of each other.
Could have completely changed the outcome of the game.
And
Well, it did, honestly. I mean, you look at Patrick Mahomes and what he's able to do in that final minute, and you don't get that PI call. Now you still got 50 yards to go to score a TD. It's just insane. And the lack of consistency in calls this year is really what's gotten to me the most, with somebody like Justin Herbert getting popped already 2 feet out of bounds last week, and there being a no call on it. And then Patrick Mahomes, still with a foot in bounds this week, gets called for unnecessary roughness. It doesn't make any sense. They need to make up their mind, and officials need to start being punished and fined for absolutely egregious no calls. Because I'm telling you, with some of these calls I've seen this year, refs just are not getting looked at because these dudes got money line on some of these teams that they're officiating against this year, and it's really affecting the outcome of games, and that's not the official's job. The official's job is to make sure that each team is playing on a fair playing field, not that one team has the advantage over the other in terms of calls in the game, and that's what's really gone on this year. So absolutely atrocious. I'm glad you went there, because that was my second one, and I was like, somebody's got to talk about it. All right, Jaquavius.
Well, we talk a lot about football on here, a lot, because we all know the most about football probably. So we're gonna transition, and I'm gonna keep going back to the well until something changes. We're going back to the well. The Pistons have now lost 17 games in a row. 17 games.
That's absurd.
Of their first 19. Or of their first 20. Of their first 20 games, they've lost 17 in a row.
They started 2-1.
Started 2-1. It's not. They beat the Bulls and the Hornets. They didn't even beat competent teams. Both those teams are horrible right now. They beat the Bulls and the Hornets to start. Since then, they've lost 17 in a row. Tonight, they get the Grizzlies, who they have a 51% chance to beat. It's 51-49.
If they don't beat the Grizzlies tonight, they could easily end up losing 25-30 straight.
This is the only game in the foreseeable future that's winnable. Like, truly win. Like, they should win, probably, because the Grizzlies are still without a bunch of guys.
It's crazy, too, with the volatility of the NBA and how even though all the players are supposed to play this year, we weren't going to do load management, which is bullshit. Bunch of crybabies. Everybody's still sitting. So even with all the people that sit out and some of the favorable matchups that the Pistons have had in the most volatile league in all of sports, somehow they have still managed to lose 17 straight.
Yeah, there weren't supposed to be any cakewalk games this year. It was supposed to be every night's a challenge. There's no rest nights. Like,
that
the
ain't
Pistons
happening
is a
either.
win. If you walk into Detroit, you're probably walking out with an easy win.
Yeah, which is crazy. And
They might
another mid moment could be the fact that the NBA didn't do anything to change load management, but
they might
conversation for another day.
They might compete with like the 2013 Sixers.
They have a chance. They really do. Their spacing is horrible. They have one ball handler in their 10 guys that truly play. They have one ball handler, and it's 6'9" Cade Cunningham. He's the only guy who can handle the ball.
Poor Cade, man.
Asar looks like a toddler who just learned how to dribble when he has to create space in the half-court offense. When he's on a fast break, he's phenomenal. Their fast break offense is so good.
James Wiseman got there, completely forgot how to play basketball.
He didn't know how to play basketball to begin with.
Who else? Is Bojan still?
He
in
just
Detroit?
came back. He just came back.
So they might get a little bit more life.
He's
definitely a veteran leader, at least, if nothing else, for that team. But
it's
Still,
their half court offense is awful, and they can't create space. They don't have shooters like they want.
I'm honestly excited to see how long you can go back to this well. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I want the streak to just continue.
If they don't win tonight,
might be talking about it next week too.
I'll be talking about it next year.
All right, Joseph, what do you got for us?
All right. Well, you already see what I'm wearing, so you know exactly where I'm going. We went at home in Pittsburgh and lost to the fucking Arizona Cardinals.
James Conner legacy game.
It was just an atrocious performance. Now we got fucking Kenny down. Mitch the bitch Trubisky is coming in. Deontay Johnson needs to get fired. We just need to throw the ball to Pat Freiermuth, Allen Robinson, and George Pickens. Mike Tomlin needs to go somewhere else. All he cares about is not having a losing season. He doesn't care about winning jack shit. And Thursday night's game is probably going to be, I think it's going to be a Steelers dub. It's probably going to be like 10-3.
I was gonna say 9-6.
It's going to be one of the most boring games you ever watched in your life.
I literally, and I'm not trolling anybody, because we put up 13 points against the Jets, won 13-8. So I can't talk shit about anybody's team. I literally, when I was looking at the game the other day, I have a strong feeling that this might be the first game I have ever witnessed when won 3-0.
Yeah, it might go into overtime 0-0.
Lance said he has a strong feeling that it could end up being a tie,
a 0-0 tie.
There's a strong chance because Mitch Trubisky, I don't think he scored a point for us all season.
Because you guys still have a good defense.
Yeah,
and the Patriots have had a really good defense this year, but two of the worst offenses in the NFL going head to head in prime time, which has already been a very low scoring game to begin with this year. I'm gonna have to watch that game just for the laughs because I think it's gonna be one of the worst games
I can't watch it.
Seen it today.
There's no way I can watch
it. Hey,
it.
a win's a win though. If you win that game 3-0, it goes down as a win on the schedule. So it doesn't matter how you get it as long as you get it.
You're 8-5 if you get the job done.
So.
And then Tomlin can finally have another 9-8 season.
Hey, bro, be happy with your 9-8 season. I'm over here as a Falcons fan. Like, we're gonna get made fun of for being 8-9 division winners.
20 straight 9-8 seasons isn't something to be proud of.
I guess that's fair. All right, we're gonna move on to the next segment in sports. Every week, every week you have a team overperform, underperform. You've got people overreacting, not reacting. People like, oh my God, they're a Super Bowl contender now, or oh, they're no longer a Super Bowl contender because they lost this week. So we're gonna hop into a few of those, and I am gonna pop out with a few this week because I have a few interesting ones, and I want to hear the guys' perspective. All right, first one. And this will be an interesting one for y'all to debate because I've got a little bit of a tie to this one. Overreaction, not an overreaction. Every team in the NFC South this offseason will be looking for a new coach.
Overreaction.
Why do you think so?
Well, I agree in the sense of, Frank Reich is already fired.
Yeah.
So
They're already looking for a
there's
coach.
one. Arthur Smith is not taking the Falcons to the promised land.
He's
gotta
knocking
go.
on the door. The only issue I see with him getting fired is Arthur Blank is stubborn as hell.
If they win the division, he won't get fired.
He won't get fired. Arthur Blank won't move on.
I think Dennis Allen's done.
Dennis Allen, is this his first year?
Second.
Yeah.
No,
So,
it's-
is it second?
yeah, I think it's second.
Second, he sucks.
He's done.
He's terrible.
He's done.
That offense is like a snail. And you have Kamara, Olave. You had Michael Thomas for a minute.
You upgraded
Give him- give him for a minute every year.
You made what everybody thought was an upgrade at quarterback in Derek Carr.
The only one I don't agree with is Todd Bowles. They're not playing great this season, but I don't think they're playing so bad to where he needs to get fired.
I never liked Todd Bowles.
I just think he's kind of okay.
He's not fireable yet.
I guess. Shit.
Okay. All right. Next one. Overreaction, not an overreaction.
Whoa, what if never mind.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, what if the Saints brought in Josh McDaniels?
Yeah, I would love that. I would be such a fan of that hire. I'm such a fan of that hire. All right. The Steelers are going to miss the playoffs.
That's an overreaction. Come on now.
I don't know if it's an overreaction to this week. I don't think this week kind of changed my mind. I just think they aren't good enough to make the playoffs.
No. Come on.
They play the
Really?
Patriots, Colts, Bengals, Seahawks, Ravens.
There's too many good teams in the AFC right now. I feel like you have
There isn't as many as you think.
Houston. Well, there's 4 teams tied at 7-5 right now. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and Houston. I think Cleveland is probably done with no Deshaun.
Yeah, DTR is not going to take
currently-
him
But Houston's probably going to jump in.
Currently, I'll say overreaction because they do still play the Patriots. I think they could beat the Colts, and they play the Bengals at home, and it is Jake Browning. I know he balled against the Jags, but this week he could go throw for like 145 yards and 2 picks. They do play the Seahawks and the Ravens both on the road, so I think those will be tough, especially if Kenny isn't back for those.
Playing, yeah.
If Kenny comes back at all this season, I think they'll make the playoffs. But if it is Mitch for the rest of the season, I think they'll probably miss the
I don't
playoffs.
think Kenny makes that much of a difference, to be honest.
Compared to Mitch Trubisky, I feel like he does.
I was going to say I could see the Bills like kind of sliding in at the end of the season. Not anymore.
No, they got a
Did you see
tough.
the
Chiefs,
schedule?
Chiefs,
Yeah.
Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, Dolphins. But I think Houston could slide in. I think Denver could slide in. We'll see. I don't know if it's an overreaction or not. I don't really have an opinion. I don't think they're a playoff caliber team, but I think their record.
No,
that they
we'll
started
lose in
with-
the first round, but we're still going to make it.
Yeah.
That
All
last
right.
game is going to be for the division. Steelers, Ravens. We're going to lose.
The Ravens. The Ravens will have it by
No,
then.
they won't. Ravens are only, what are they, 8?
9-3. They're two
Okay,
games.
so they got 2 games ahead
Two
of us.
games ahead.
and
They have the
got a hard
Rams this
schedule.
week. They have the Jags, Niners, Dolphins, Steelers.
So they do have
They're
a pretty
losing
tough.
3 of those games.
They have a tough schedule.
Yeah, they do have a tough
They're losing
schedule.
Niners, Dolphins, and who's the other one? It's not Rams. Who's that third?
Jags.
They're
Jags.
losing
Is
Jags.
the Dolphins game at home?
Yep.
That's New Year's
It's
Eve.
at home for the Ravens?
Yep.
I think they'll beat the Dolphins.
It won't. Lamar chokes in big games, bro.
It's on-
But
it's on New
so
Year's
does
Eve.
Tua. So does Tua, and the Ravens have a good defense. And one thing we have seen consistently, if you can get a hand into his face, force him outside of the pocket, and make him uncomfortable,
They have
he
a good,
cannot
the
win
Ravens
games.
have a good secondary. I don't think their pass rush is up to par anymore.
Oh, this is so sad. Carolina's officially eliminated. That's
Oh
sad.
wow! You know what's crazy is that they still had a chance. I think
Last
going
week.
into this week
Yeah.
or this past week, which is
Patriot-
absolutely absurd.
The Patriots still have a mathematical chance.
All right, this next one, I think this is to be a real quick sweep. Overreaction, not an overreaction. Tyreek Hill should win the MVP.
Not an overreaction.
Not an overreaction.
All right, I knew that one was going to be quick. I also agree with that. I like CMC also for that.
I'd like a non-quarterback this year.
I like CMC as well. CMC has 17 total TDs on the year.
If Brock Purdy wins.
Already over 1,000 total yards from scrimmage. So I like CMC for the award as well, especially if he finishes the year with like 24, 25 touchdowns. We haven't seen that since LT.
No. Is it been that long?
I think it's LT. I don't think AP ever put up touchdown numbers like that.
I'll look it up. Keep talking, I'll talk
for the
about
last
it,
for there are 5 weeks left in the NFL season to hit 2,000 yards. Tyreek needs to average 104 yards a game over the next 5 weeks to hit 2,000 yards.
We shall see. I think
he plays.
Me personally, I think if CMC finishes with like 1,500 total yards from scrimmage, 1,600 total yards from scrimmage as a back with 21, 22 plus TDs, my MVP would be CMC. But it's hard to deny a 2,000 yard receiver. Either way, I think we can all agree that it should not be a QB award this year.
No, I think Tyreek could even do it in 16 games.
If he does it in 16, he's 100%.
Because he needs.
Now, I'm not going to discredit his 2,000 yard season, even though he does have an extra game, because you can look at Calvin and go, well, yeah, Calvin broke the record when they went from 14 to 16 games. So, you can make that argument as well. I'm not going to discredit it, but I do think a 1,500 plus total yards from scrimmage season with 21, 22 plus touchdowns for CMC should also be considered very highly for the MVP award as well, because that amount of touchdowns out of a back we have not seen since, was I right, Jack? LT?
What number are you looking for? 25?
22 plus.
22 plus, yep. It's been since LT in 06. The closest has been Jonathan Taylor in 2021. He had 17, or 18.
And CMC's already within one of that. So I think it could be either one of them, but I think we can all agree that what is for sure not an overreaction is that the MVP award should not be a quarterback award this year. I think we can all agree on that. All right, I got 2 more for you. And this one's one of my favorite ones. The Cowboys can get to the Super Bowl without winning their division.
Not an overreaction.
Not an overreaction.
You think?
Really?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Because if they
I'd rather not win the division. They'd get a free first round.
Yeah, they play
win
the
in
Falcons.
Atlanta.
they play the Falcons, and then they would play the
next.
They would play the Eagles.
No,
I think they would play the Eagles.
Cowboys.
It depends on who you think.
Because I think it goes 4-5 bye with the 1, and then 3-6.
But how it's slotted is the 1 seed plays the lowest.
The
seed
lowest
that
ranked
won.
seed.
Oh, okay,
So it would be-
okay.
But so basically, yes,
depends.
if the 3 seed beat the 6 seed,
Which is currently the Lions beating the Packers,
Yeah,
I think.
So if the Packers won, then the 1 seed would go play. Then the Eagles would go play the Packers.
but if the
then
Lions won, then
the Eagles would play the Cowboys.
Well, not necessarily, because then there's the 6 seed and the 3 seed.
And well, there's
That's what
the
we just
7.
said.
There's a
If the-
7 seed.
That'd be the 3 seed, 6 seed. Would
Oh well,
be
the
Vikings.
only team that gets a bye is the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Vikings would play
Hold on, I got the
49ers.
no, because they're the 2 seed. The Vikings would play the Lions.
y'all are trying to do it in your head, and I
Well,
don't
it'd be,
think
right now it's
adding up
49ers.
for anybody.
It's Eagles, 49ers, Lions, Falcons, Cowboys, Vikings, Packers. So the Packers would play the 49ers, the Lions would play the Vikings, and the Cowboys would play the Falcons.
So you guys really think the Cowboys have a shot in hell going into Philly or going into San Fran and winning?
They might not have to.
How?
We'll have to do one of them. Well, not necessarily. But
Dak played well against the Eagles the first time they played. It was a close game, and they play again this weekend. I think they have a better chance to do it against the
All
Eagles than they do the Niners.
So currently, the playoff picture, regardless, so more than likely, Dallas would have to go through Philly to get to the NFC Championship.
I'd
more
rather
than likely, yeah.
I'd rather go through Philly
and
than
then
through San Fran.
More than likely, they would have to go through San Fran
Correct.
to get to the Super Bowl. I think that is an overreaction. I do not think in the same postseason Dallas is going to be able to beat both Philadelphia at home for Philadelphia, and the Niners at home for the Niners.
I don't think they will.
I don't see them winning 3 because the winner of the NFC South will automatically be a home game. Do I think that the Falcons pose any threat to the Cowboys? No, but that is 3 straight road playoff games that the Cowboys would have to win to get to the Super Bowl without winning their division. So I think the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl without winning their division is an overreaction. I don't see them going through the Eagles and the Niners both at home.
I think they have a
I
chance.
think they could. I don't think they will.
The Cowboys are like the third dragon in the dragon meme.
Yeah, I'm gonna call that an overreaction.
No, the Lions.
And my last one, and this one just came up here soon, so y'all can
Lions and Cowboys are pretty much the same team.
talk.
That's bold.
Y'all can talk about this one. I just want to. This is a little out there. All right. Overreaction, not an overreaction. Jesse Bates was the best free agent signing in football this offseason.
I gotta think of all the free agents.
Aaron Rodgers? That was a.
I'm going to say not an
Alan
overreaction. He's the only player in the NFL, and I only saw this because the NFL tweeted it, which is, I literally just added it in. He's the only player in the NFL this year that has 5 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles.
I'm struggling to think of free agents right now.
I can't really think of anybody that got signed.
I'll look it up. Notable
Yeah, you
free
can look
agents.
up big free agent signings real quick. Obviously, my answer is biased, but I'm going to go with not an overreaction. In my opinion, out of all the free agents that I can think of throughout the years that we have signed, I think he might be the greatest free agent signing in Falcons history.
What? Not Tony Gonzalez?
I did forget we signed Tony G. Okay, second. He's top 3 already. If Defensive Player of the Year wasn't such an edge rusher
Javon Hargrave.
award,
Oh, yeah.
Orlando Brown.
Orlando Brown's been kind of iffy, hasn't he?
Orlando Brown has
solid.
not made the same difference on his team that Jesse Bates has made to the Falcons.
Diop.
And I don't think Javon Hargraves has made as big of a difference on that D-line as Bates has for our secondary.
Do re-signings count?
No, free agent signings.
It looks like
That's probably right.
it looks like it was a bit of a lighter. I'm not like discrediting Jesse Bates. I'm just saying it seemed like it was a lighter free agent class.
I mean, Orlando Brown was a huge signing for the Bengals when it happened.
I still think that's a good signing.
I don't think it's. I'm just saying, as far as like best free agent signing, when I said that, I meant in terms of his like their impact to the team.
Fuck that guy.
Patrick Peterson to the Steelers.
He's a fucking bum.
Yeah.
Looking at some of these signings, I'll go not an overreaction
I'll say
because
not an overreaction.
Not an overreaction. That motherfucker gets beat out by Joey Porter Jr. in his rookie year, bro. He's a bum.
Who, Pat P?
Yeah. They need to move his ass to safety.
It's a really good signing. Very underrated.
DJ Edwards, that was a good signing.
Yeah, for me, it's been so much fun to watch Jesse Bates play in Atlanta, and he's really one of the main reasons that defense went from like bottom 5 last year to top 10 this year in pretty much any statistical category. Pretty much willed us to the win against the Jets, and also got us kick-started against the Saints. I mean, the offense was sputtering until that pick 6 at the end of the first quarter. So I think as far as impact on their respective teams that they sign with, he's definitely the best free agent signing of this past year. All right, last segment of the day, and this is one I don't know why I didn't look at any lines.
I'll
The
start.
underdog of the week.
The FTS underdog of the week.
I can start because I have mine.
You've got one right off rip?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
All right. Let me go.
Is it just not going to show me the NFL today? Awesome.
All right. I'm going to the NFL. I'll start. They're coming off a big loss. A big loss. That doesn't mean they're a bad team. I think this is a nice way for them to bounce back and kind of clear themselves in the division. The Eagles are 3.5-point dogs to the Cowboys. And I think it's a good chance for them to kind of re-cement themselves as the top team in the division and kind of just separate themselves from the Cowboys specifically. So I'm going to take the Eagles plus 3.5 against the Cowboys this week. Nice little bounce back game for Hurts and Sirianni and all them.
All right, I'm going to continue on this train because it's got to happen sometime, right? And they're not playing the worst football as of late. The Las Vegas Raiders at home are currently 3-point dogs to the Minnesota Vikings.
Damn right there.
I don't see anything about the Vikings that impresses me that much to think that this won't be a close game. They just lost 12-10 to the Bears. Before that, they lost 21-20 in Denver. And they beat New Orleans by 8, they beat the Falcons by 3, and they beat the Packers by 14. I think this is still a hungry Raiders team. I don't think mathematically they're out of the playoff picture yet. I think
if the Patriots aren't, the Raiders damn sure ain't.
I think they're still going to be fighting to get wins for Antonio Pierce. I've read a lot about how the guys there really enjoy Antonio Pierce. They really like them. I think a lot of them are going to be playing really hard because they don't want to see the same thing happen to Pierce, who knows the game, is a player's coach. The players like playing for him. He understands the Raider way, the same way it happened to Rich
Gannon.
No, it wasn't Gannon. It was
Roll.
The Raiders coach that came in right when
I know who you're talking about.
Gruden got fired.
Yeah, I know.
And he ended up leading them to the playoffs that year.
Yeah, really.
And then
coach.
they went out
I think
right
he's in
after.
Washington now or something like that.
And that's when they hired Josh McDaniels.
Rich Rodriguez.
No, it was like Rich P. Like his last name started with a P.
Yeah,
I can't think of his name, but he comes out. After the whole Gruden debacle, he led them to the playoffs, and I think they lost, but he led them to the playoffs that year. They went on like a crazy run, and then they turned around and hired Josh McDaniels. I think a lot of players, including one of the Raiders' leaders in Max Crosby, does not want to see that happen again. They don't want to see him make the same mistake twice. So I think these guys are going to play really hard the rest of the season. And at home against a sputtering Vikings team, I'm taking the Raiders plus 3.
Jefferson's back this week.
I don't think it'll make that big of a difference.
Joe, you want to go first, or you want me to go?
Who are you taking?
Probably not.
Not what you were taking.
Not what you're taking.
All right, well, I'll go then. All right, well,
taking?
one person on this panel is not going to like this pick at all.
I know
But
where you're going.
I'm taking one of my guys. I'm taking Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are currently 2.5-point dogs.
Is it 2.5? I thought it was
Falcons.
3.5.
It's 2.5 right now.
Okay.
Listen, I know it's been rough in recent weeks for Baker, but I mean, he won against the Panthers. He did have 2 losses against the Colts and the Niners, which were kind of iffy, but he's going to continue his NFC South winning streak to get to 2 against the Falcons at home in Atlanta. He's already a better quarterback than Ritter. He's got better weapons than Ritter.
And Mike Evans tears up the Falcons.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised because we're undefeated currently in the NFC South. We played the Saints, Panthers, and Bucks all once.
Yeah.
And we're 3-0. So nobody's going to split with the Panthers this year because the Panthers are dog shit. But we normally split, and our defense hasn't given up a touchdown in 2 games. So obviously that streak's got to end at some point. So I wouldn't be surprised if they came in and won. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we won because I don't think either team is much better than the other.
I'm just saying, 2.5 points, it's free money for y'all watching out there.
I don't hate it. Like I said, I don't hate it.
My underdog of the week is a bit, I wouldn't say long shot, but the favorite in this game has played well for their team this season. I'm going to one of the deepest rivalries in sports, Army-Navy. Army is currently a 3-point favorite. They do have a ranked win this season, but Army has been winning this rivalry as of late. It was a really good game last year. I think Navy bounces back. I'm taking Navy plus 3.
The midshipmen.
So we got a lot of short dogs here. Mm-hmm. We didn't play any very large spreads.
No, we like them
Since
short.
2015,
Joe.
I think Army has won 5 or 6 of the matchups since then. But from 2015 and earlier, Navy won like 10 straight. And I think they get back on track this year, losing a heartbreaker in double OT last year.
Okay.
And Army's going down. Navy's winning. I'm taking them. I'll take a money line.
If you've got a bookie or you live in a state where sports betting is legal, go out, throw a few dollars on these. I guarantee you've got some pretty good fucking odds if you rock the boys parlay here. Throw a few dollars on it. We might bless you this week. We can't. We would. Hey, we would.
If you win, we want to.
Yeah. Hey, we would run it with y'all, but unfortunately, we live in Georgia, and I don't feel like doing any illegal betting. So, if you're out there and you can place bets on the sports books, do it for us. Shout us out. Tweet us.
Give us 20%.
Tag us. Post it on your Instagram story and tag us. DM us. Let us know how we're doing.
Call my phone number.
Don't do that.
Come to my house.
Come have Christmas dinner with me. Fuck. All right. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We're out every Thursday morning. YouTube, Spotify, Apple is where you can check out the full episodes. If you want to watch it, obviously the watchable version is on YouTube. We play all of our games, do our trivia on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook. So go check those out for the boys as well. As always, drop a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a like. Let us know what you're thinking about the boys and their dogs of the week. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week. Peace.